Okay, I'm gonna demonstrate a series of progressive wrist, hand, and finger strengthening exercises and rehab tools. These are things I use after my grip training. So the first thing we're gonna do is go into rubber band battery. I use Iron Mind bands. You can get these for about 15 bucks off Amazon. Just look up Iron Mind bands. There's a whole bunch of them that come in. They're different color coded. I think there's like 5 different ones. This is the easiest one. You can just use regular rubber bands if you are just starting out with rehab. So I'm going to show you both at once and then do a close-up. What we're going to do is you're going to do 20 of each of these. So first, 20 where you're just opening up your hands, just expanding. Next, going to keep your hands open, go up and down, up and down. You're really going to feel that in your wrist. It's going to start to burn if you use too much resistance, so start out light. After 20 of those, you're going to rotate. Do 20 of these. I will usually do 3 sets of 20 reps on each of those 3 exercises. So do 20 reps, 20 reps, 20 reps. So all 3 exercises in a row, take a minute, then do them again. If I'm having wrist pain, I will take a light band and I'll do like a set of 10 of each of them, probably every hour or so throughout the day. And it helps alleviate wrist pain from using a mouse too much. So this is probably the easiest thing you could do, is to start here and really just open 20 times, then up and down 20 times, and then side to side 20 times. Repeat that 3 times. Easy. That's probably the most bang for your buck out of anything here. But if you want to get a little bit more wrist strength, there's a few other things that are worth going into. So what I'll do first, so there's a couple of things here. This is a wrist roller. That is a wrist wrench. That's a bar we're going to use for just some kind of makeshift sledgehammer training, and then we're going to do some wrist stuff on a cable. If you have access to a cable machine at a gym, this will work really well. So going to start with the wrist roller. So you can make one of these or you can buy one. This is just PVC pipe with a cord on it and a weight hanging, and you've probably seen this before. This is just rolling it like this with your hands. If you're recovering from a wrist injury, it's actually pretty important to do both, rolling it and unrolling it. Don't just let it go like that and then do this one again. Try to get both directions. You'll feel it both on the bottom and the top of your forearms, so your extenders and your flexors. And it'll help build up some strength in your forearms, which is going to contribute to taking the strain off of your wrists and off of the pulleys and the tendons in your fingers. Because you're not going to be overcompensating due to lack of strength in your forearm extenders and your flexors. The wrist wrench is similar. This is something that you probably would have to buy. This one again is from Iron Mind. Unlike the wrist roller, which you kind of had an over motion, this one is much more wrist intensive in terms of actually training right here as opposed to training the muscles in your forearms. And so you're going to feel this much closer to your hands. This is another one that I find is really helpful if I'm having wrist pain from sitting at a desk and using a mouse all day. And it does really help. And this is not expensive. This is a pretty cheap thing. If you have a small, like even a couple of pound sledgehammer, you can do something like this. This is to train kind of wrist flexation. So most of the time you probably want to put your forearm like on a bench, on a chair, something to stabilize it. And then it's just a matter of going back and forth. This is going to really tax kind of the top and bottom. So like right here and right here on your wrist, those kind of where those joints meet. And it'll give you a really good resistance and help kind of with counter rotation. For the wrist joint, you not only want to train it to be strong and flex, but you want to train it so that it can resist rotation as well. So you want to train it counter rotation. So you want to load it up at kind of the point where it's least advantageous and be able to hold that. So twist and hold. This hold part here, and especially on here where it's even harder, that's really where you're getting most of the bang for your buck. If you have access to a cable machine at a gym, or this is just a cable that I have hooked up to a squat rack, which works just as well. There's a good exercise I like to do here. You can do it with just a regular kind of handle that you would get on a cable machine, or if you have access to something a little bit thicker or something that rotates, that works even better. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use one of my grip implements. So this is a Raptor handle. There's also a Rolling Thunder handle, which is even thicker right there. What we're going to do, we are going to hook this up to the cable right here. And this is actually an exercise I kind of found from an arm wrestler. And so I'm going to pull this in slightly, and then I'm just going to rotate it towards me. So kind of see it from this angle, it might be a little bit easier. It's just this. So it's just this motion. And if you've ever seen arm wrestling, it's very similar. You're kind of just coming across the top. So it's just a matter of curling that wrist. This handle actually spins, it rotates, so it works a lot better. If you don't have access to a regular handle, you can use a regular cable. Something helpful if you don't have access, if you only have a regular cable though, to make it a little bit easier on your wrist, you can buy fatter handles that go over a regular cable bar or a regular dumbbell, and that'll help get you more motion and kind of let you recruit more of the muscles and the tendons in your hand to work on this. So it's really just curling that wrist towards your body. Try to immobilize the arm as much as you can. If you don't have access to something like this, another thing you could do that's kind of gives a similar result is to use a kettlebell on a bench, and I'll show you that. So this right here, this is just a very light kettlebell. What I'm going to do is I'm going to kneel by the bench. I'm going to take my hand, I'm going to put it under, so I'm grabbing it here. So this kettlebell, like it's laying on the bench, go underneath and grab so that your arm is like this. Now, all you're doing is you want to immobilize your arm on the bench so that you're not moving from your shoulder, and you're going to turn over, and it's that same kind of wrist over motion. These are really helpful. But also everything except the bands, do sets of, I don't know, sets of 5, 8, 10. It doesn't really matter. It depends on the weight you have available to you. Just do something so that do enough so that you're feeling some form of resistance and you're feeling like you're actually like getting a level of fatigue. You don't need to go to failure. That's probably not necessary here. Go to a point where you feel like you're getting a decent amount of work done, but you're not so you're not going to the point where this is actually making you tired. This is just rehab. You really just want to get it to a point where you feel like it's working, not feel like it's killing you. It shouldn't really be taking anything out of you. Like I do most of these to help me recover. I don't want them to contribute to my fatigue level. The last thing I'm going to show is something that's a bit more advanced, but this is done with a sledgehammer. You can do this with a smaller sledgehammer. It doesn't need to be a full one. It doesn't need to be a 20-pound one. It could just be a 5-pound one that comes down to here. But what we want to do is we want to train this motion. So this is kind of a exercise you see a lot of strongmen do. You're going to grab the handle somewhere here, and you're going to tip it towards you. and then move it back. Let me get that all in frame. So like, tip it towards you, move it back. Sometimes at competitions, you'll see like them do these with like axes or something like that, just to make it look more dangerous, but choke up as much as you need to. It's all about getting that motion. So getting this motion, but it's a lot easier if you kind of put it in front of you to get that. And again, you can just use a regular hammer. You could use one of those clubs that I just used for the other exercise. Anything that will kind of get you just enough resistance where you can get maybe 5, 6, 7 reps out of that. And that'll get a lot of training out of the wrist extension. That's probably most of the basic stuff, probably more than you even wanted to know. So hopefully this helps, or if some random person stumbles on this video, if I post it on YouTube, hope it helped you as well. Bye.